You know, you have to understand, the pedophiles, most of them have a methodology that they use that we call grooming. They find the right child. It's usually a child who's either having problems at home or is isolated from the parents. Then they start by getting close to them and telling them what they want to hear and praising them with excessive hugs and holding on a little longer. And the child may respond to that because a lot of these kids need love and they want love and they're getting it. And then it slowly progresses, and the next thing they know, this adult is doing something to them that's confusing to them, but frankly, from a physiological standpoint, may feel pleasant, and before they know it, they're a victim. And I don't see anything different in this case of it happening, other than almost in a textbook way.
My first experience with him in a sexual way was when he approached me when I was a young child, about 7 or 8 years old, in my bed in Salem when where I lived growing up. And he would come to me in the middle of the night and fondle me and talk to me and try to impress upon me his views of the world and his travels, and all in a way to impress me and to awe me with his importance. He would compliment me and compliment my body, and then gradually ease his way into touching me, either by telling me about my parts of my body and how they operated from a scientific standpoint. And then he would, pull my pants down, my pajama bottoms, and would then touch me on my genitals. And then, maybe pull them back up and then talk to me a little bit more. And he kissed me on my genitals again, so that it was almost as if there was nothing unnatural about it whatsoever. But it was repeated over a number of years where he would come to me and sexually abuse me.
I have never once taken a kid to my bed. They have come to my bed, and I am no one to kick them out. If they hug me and I find them playing with my cock, I say, good on you, I play with theirs. And I'll do it now and with great pleasure.
When you grow up with a culture that does not condone this, that totally
no
objects to
culture
it,
condones it.
Surely it must hurt you when you get subjected to a grown-up forcing sexuality on you.
Boy, what a brainwashed person you are. With 300 or 400 boys who had sex with me from 8 and 10 and 12, 100% have run into my bed, jumped in without my mentioning it, and asked for sex. I have never asked for it. And most of my friends, don't you realize that I was jumping in people's beds hoping they would take me? All boys want a lover. My God.
You as a kid.
And the idea that these men go after you don't have any point in the world. Now come on, that's the rule of the game.
The question of whether to say no never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. I knew this person to be my father's friend, my father's mentor, someone my father admired extremely. I had no idea what was happening to me. And when I grew older, and this is what I think was part of Carlton's plan in trying to groom me to be someone who he could then do more with sexually, was to try to get me to like it. So that's what he did. He got me to like it. And by getting me to like it, he could then do more. And then with, I presume, some sort of assurance that I wouldn't talk to anybody and wouldn't say no. But was I given the tools to be able to make a decision for myself? No, I wasn't. And I was never encouraged to do so. And so, naturally I would have some anger about that, I think. Naturally I would have a great deal of resentment and anger towards Carlton because I think he's frankly a criminal. And the idea that somehow he is a benevolent figure to children is unfathomable to me. I can't imagine ever doing that.
I find it hard to believe that an observing eye like Carlton Gajdusek's could be blind to the damage he might do to kids by having sex with them. How could a mind, so brilliant in so many ways, convince itself that children's need of adult contact and love is a desire for sex with adults?
How were you as a kid?
The same way. The first time I've told everybody, it's in my journal 10 times. My uncle took me, I was exactly 6, I know exactly, it was a few days before my 7th birthday, a few weeks, in Slovakia, my father's birth house. Oh, we take baths together in the clubs and all, and I'm immediately, for the first time, having an erect cock near me and all that. Boy, what fun I had. I played with him and everything else. 100% I seduced him. He was just having a bath with me, got a little erection. I didn't let him go, please. I have such a crush on him that the 17-year-old girl tells me, stop making Crystal embarrassed. He was the first goddamn person on earth I met who didn't stand in awe and want to display me and record me because of my goddamn intellect. He loved my body, and I loved that. He was the first one who gave me pride. He's the greatest man in my life. If any of 50 other people who once had played with me, boy, how much happier I would have been at 10, 11, 12. I dreamt about it, hoped about it, and they wouldn't do it.
Wanting to be loved as a child rather than a genius. Sex with adults instead of being loved by adults. Sex with boys instead of loving boys. It is a dangerous circle Gajdusek defends.
I don't know why. The why I don't know. It's rather foolish when you ask me those questions. You're not bright enough to answer it, and certainly I'm not. And so therefore I don't have any respect for your hypothesis. I wouldn't believe Freud's, and I have none. So the answer is you're not going to get why out of me most of the time. I speak in fractals. I prefer to analyze nature. But to ask why implies a wisdom you don't have and I don't have. God doesn't have it as far as I'm concerned.
Gajdusek tries to defend pedophilia with the same hard-headed energy and self-confidence that gave him success in scientific research. His unique personality, his ability to analyze the world more creatively than others, enabled him to break the boundaries of scientific study, leading to some revolutionary discoveries. But those same abilities allowed him to convince himself he wasn't causing pain, blinding himself to the emotional consequences for him and for those he holds dear.
It was only a matter of time.
Well, in fact, I feel like a fool acting for your camera and your thing. I feel despicable and unclean. I never in my life intended to ever do such a fool thing as acting in my own biography. I think it's despicable and unclean. I would ridicule any human who is so dumb to take a role in his biography, to act his own role for his famous person. I've never seen anything more despicable. It's like betrayal. Like Judas was an angel compared to it. So what you're asking me to do is much more despicable than fucking... There is what I consider a normal family. He pushes and pushes to help mother please. And when that happens, you have endearing families for life. If you want tender care from your children, if you want them to wipe your ass when you're 90 and you're demented, if you want them to stick around when you're sick, instead of putting you in an old age home, as everybody here does and never visits them. If you want the family to stick together, you have to have intergenerational sex. Intergenerational. And it has to be within the family.
This is where we don't think the same, Carlton. I mean, I don't believe this.
Well, I think it's that. I think the whole problem of the whole world is the lack of it. And I consider it a defective upbringing if you haven't helped your parents have fun in sex.